Hello guys, good morning. It's your Sir Kevin again, and today we will be having an accounting tutorial on consolidating working papers. This is on business combinations, if you can remember from last year. So, a continuation of a previous video. So, in this video, I will be demonstrating to you the conventional way of preparing the consolidated financial statements via working papers. And with that, we will be using working paper entries. So itong problem na to po, na-compute natin last time, and we have come up with working paper entries already. But let me just show you the problem in its entirety so that you can take down notes or do screenshots if you want to try out yourself kung kaya mo na ba i-consolidate to on your own. Okay, so this is the first part of the problem. The information presented here is going to be useful if you are computing goodwill, if you are computing consolidated net income, and so on. Okay, so proceed tayo. The income statement, which we will be using for consolidation later, is as follows. Income statement ng dalawang company, si Tenry Ubito and si Akainu. Do pause the video again if you'd like to copy this data or do a screenshot for if you want to try on your own. Balance sheet. Meron tayong balance sheet and it's this one. Do take note that the date for our consolidated financial statement is December 31, 2020. And the acquisition date, if I may go back to the first part, is January 1. So January 1 is the acquisition date, and then December 31 will be the preparation of the financial statement. And do take note that when I go back to the income statement, one key note that you should always examine is ano ang income na ni-recognize ni parent from the subsidiary. Did the parent recognize as income yung share niya, yung income from subsidiary, or dividend income? Itong income account na to, you will have to look for this every time magko-consolidate ka. Kasi that is going to determine kung cost method ba or equity method ang ginamit ni parent. And if income from subsidiary yung ginamit na account, that is a little hint na equity method tayo. Okay? Pero kapag dividend income from the subsidiary ang ginamit na account, that means that we are using cost model. So, just a little side tip there. But it's income from subsidiary, that is a little hint na maaaring equity method to. Pero, guys, I think it is already mentioned in the problem. Or is it? Okay, it's not mentioned. Ayun. It's already up there in the title. So, equity method nga to. Pero again, guys, kung hindi na mention dyan, ito yung hint mo. Ito yung income statement. Pause the video anytime. Ito naman yung balance sheet. And we will be using the two items in making the consolidated financial statements. So, balance sheet, Tenry Ubito, and Akainu. Okay, I think by now you're already done pausing the video and copying it on your own. And if you'd like, you can move away from this video and you can try to solve the problem on your own. Let me just show you the rest of the data. So what remains is simply an analysis on the retained earnings, kung ano yung nangyari. In 2020, the only change in equity was in retained earnings consisting of the following. So, see you when you finish your computations. Alright, so hopefully by now natapos ka na sa computations mo. Hopefully, when you pause the video, nag-exit ka, you tried to recompute on your own. And if you did so, following my discussion, siguro magkakaroon tayo ng similar working paper entries. And if you did it properly, the working paper entries will have to look like this. Disclaimer, working paper entries maaaring magkakaiba po if you are using different techniques in consolidation. Pero if you are following this tutorial, again, your working paper entries will look like this. First, you'll have to eliminate the beginning balance of the shareholders' equity. Again, I would like to emphasize that these balances of the subsidiaries' shareholders' equity is beginning balance. So retained earnings, 127,000. That is the beginning balance of Akainu's RE. Okay? So, yan. What you do here is simply add all the figures you have on equity and then multiply that by 80%. You get the share of investment in subsidiary, that is controlling interest, and then 20% non-controlling interest. First entry, S. Second entry is O, over and under valuations. Well, there is a video actually wherein we prepared all of these entries, so I would not explain them too much. So again, multiply 80%. Get the sum of this, minus 4,000. 6 plus 40 minus 4 times 80%, 33,600. And then 20% dito, 8,400. Entry for goodwill. Meron tayo 58,500 na goodwill na na-compute. Sana nakuha mo ng tama. There is a receivable that is intercompany between Tenryubito and Akainu for 8,000. We must eliminate that. Okay, so again, do pause the video if you would like. And let me proceed. Let's finish the entries. Income from subsidiary must be eliminated. And the dividend received by the parent from the subsidiary must also be derecognized. Meaning it should not be presented as dividends in our Conso FS. So, yan. 33,440 and 24,000 dividends. This is computed by taking the dividend of the subsidiary, multiplying it by 80%. Kasi kay parent lang to. Dividend is 30,000 ni subsidiary. 80% controlling interest. So that is Sogri already. Now we'll go to the second to the last entry that we have. That is N. And it stands for non-controlling interest in net income. NCII. So NCII, if you computed it properly, you will have arrived at an amount equal to 8,360. I would suggest that you will still follow computation of the NCI together with the consolidated net income. The 3-column computation of consolidated net income. Automatic makukuha mo dun yung NCII and then the profit attributable to parent. Together, of course, with the consolidated net income. Dividends paid, we will have to reduce the NCI amount by this. NCI is increased by any NCII and decreased by any dividend paid to the NCI. So in short, the non-controlling interest as an equity account will increase by 2,360. The net amount of the two. Okay? So kung anong na-compute mo na NCI in the beginning of the year, i-add mo ang amount na to. Last part of our working paper entries is A, or the amortizations. Well, depreciation expense, this is for the undervaluation of our PPE. And the inventory which was sold during the year, we also have it here. They will be charged against their related assets. I mean, ito yung asset actually, and then cost of sales is the expense reduction. Lastly, we have an impairment on the goodwill. During 2020, do take note that the rule of impairment is when it is proven na na-impair siya during the year, you must recognize an expense to that end. And the goodwill will be reduced with the amount of impairment computed. Well, as a matter of fact, in most of our problems, binibigay yung impairment as a given number already. Hindi mo na kailangan i-compute. So, let's go to the working papers. Step 1. Fill in the parent and subsidiary FS as given in the problem. So, step 1 is easy. All you have to do is take the parents and subsidiaries FS, income statement and balance sheet, and then fill it into this format. So, yan po. We have here the parents column. Lahat ng data na makikita natin dito ay kay parent. And lahat ng data na makikita mo dito ay kay subsidiary. Ito yung income statement natin na portion. And all of these accounts are copied from the given. Except for a few items which I will highlight. Impairment, wala yan sa problem. Pero we know na merong kailangan i-record na impairment because goodwill was impaired. Also, NCI income is an item of consolidated balances already. Hindi mo makikita yan sa given. And then profit attributable to the parent. This is not proper, pero ginawa ko lang profit to parent kasi kulang ng space. Ano? So yan, fill in all the data in this format. Account, parent, subsidiary, working paper entry, debit, credit, and then the consolidated balance. So, moving forward, the first part of this format. So, let me show you the rest of this format. Ano? Una, income statement. Pangalawa, you have the consolidated RE computation. Yes, there is a separate and dedicated area for the computation of the consolidated RE because it needs special attention. Consolidated RE is simply RE beginning, added natin si profit attributable to the parent minus dividends, will get RE conso. Pero, just a spoiler, kapag nagko-compute ka ng conso RE, you will not be looking at the subsidiaries data. You will only be looking at the parent's data. Kasi ang mapapresent lang dapat na RE is that one na nagre-relate kay parent. Okay? The RE that is related to the subsidiary is not going to be presented in the conso FS. It is eliminated in full. Note that. Consolidated RE. And lastly, we have our balance sheet. All of the figures here are copied from your given, as mentioned earlier. With a few items added, kasi po meron tayong goodwill. It's not presented in their separate FS, pero alam natin na meron sa Conso FS. NCI will also be added up kasi meron tayong recognized na equity account na NCI. Okay, that's the first step. Copy the data to the respective columns, parent and subsidiary. Step 2. In your step 2, you will fill in the working paper entry debits and credits. That means, yung sogrina natin, yung working paper entries natin, we will have to fill in all the debits and all the credits in these two columns. Nakopya na natin yung data na given. This time, we will have to fill in the working paper entries. Make sure na kapag natapos mo i-fill out lahat ng debits and credits, meron ka dapat footing dito. Pero I apologize, I did not create a footing down here. That is your check and balance so that you would know kung tama or balance ba yung debit and credit. Kasi before you proceed, kung hindi magkakabalance yung debit and credit mo in these working paper entry columns, then right off the bat, you will already know na merong mali. Okay? You will have to review your working paper entries. Pero I assure you, the debits and credits are equal. I'll give you the opportunity to recompute it now. Okay, so debit, credit. Pause the video if you would like to do this. Paki-add lahat ng debits, paki-add lahat ng credits. Then, ito rin. Of course, we will have to sum them up. Yung subtotal mo kanina and then the rest here. Debits and credits. Guys, I will not be going through individually plotting all of these debits and credits kasi it will take us siguro roughly around 20 minutes just doing that. So, again, kung nakopya mo ang working paper entries, I would like you to review kung tama ba ang pagkakaplot ko. Ito. Saka dito. Pause the video if you would like to do this on your own again, or if you would like to compare with what you have done in consolidating. In doing your own computations, I mean. So yan po. Step 1, given. Step 2, fill in the working paper entries and make sure na tama or equal ang debit and credit mo. And then step 3. Step 3, you will have to do this as a check and balance. Recalculate if you have zeroed out investment in subsidiary. Actually, this can be step 2. Pwede mo gawing step 2 to. You will have to make sure na ang investment in subsidiary na zero out natin kasi that is a hint na tama ang ginagawa natin. If you are unable to zero out the investment account, this means na meron kang mali somewhere in your entries. Okay, you will have to redo something. Before proceeding to the consolidated financial statement, check on the investment in subsidiary. N1, ito yon. It must be zeroed out from all posted debits and credits. Otherwise, there is a mistake in your working paper entries. So pre-combination, meron tayong balance na 319,440 in our investment account. And ito yung mga credits in our entries. From S, from O, from G, and from I. And do your recalculation, it will be a zero resulting balance. Non-controlling interest will also have this balance if you are following the working paper format. But I will be creating another video for non-controlling interest computation if you are looking for a direct calculation of that. Pero for now, you can compute NCI actually using the given. Well, actually, pwede natin makompute ang NCI using the working paper entries as follows. Pero, there is another way of doing this and I will be making a video for that. Next is your dividends paid. Well, your dividends paid ni subsidiary, kailangang ma-zero out yan. So, in your working paper entries, it will not be presented as so that we can reliably eliminate that in your working paper entries, in your working papers. Okay? Step 3, recalculate zero investment in subsidiary. And then, we go to our step 4, complete the consolidated income statement. Ito po. So what you do here is simply do a little math. P plus S plus minus working paper entries. For example, sa sales natin, walang nangyari. So, ang gagawin lang natin dito is 400 plus 200. That is going to be equal to 600,000. Then, going to income from subsidiary, the income from subsidiary is fully eliminated because we debited it under the reference I in our working paper entries. Sa Sogrina, letter I yan. 33,440. And then you have your cost of sales, 185,200, 115. Merong working paper entry under amortizations with a credit of 4,000. That means deduction kasi cost of sales is an expense. Ano? 185,200 plus 115 minus 4,000. And everything else goes pababa. Here's a special thing that you should take note. Ano? Itong 8,360, it is not part of your given. Pero because we computed NCI income as 8,360, ito yung amount na kailangan mo ilagay dito. And when you present the consolidated balance for income statement, the income statement does not end at net income. Kailangan ang net income na yan i-allocate mo. Alin dyan ang para kay parent at alin dyan ang para kay non-controlling interest. Which is for controlling interest and which is for non-controlling interest. Kasi po, we need to separate the two because the only amount that will be added to RE is the ones that relate to controlling interest. Yung kay non-controlling interest, that will not be added to RE. Okay, so 164, you will have to carry this down dito sa ating consolidated RE computation. Okay? Not the 172,360. Okay? Hindi po ang 172,360 ang ina-add sa RE natin. Although that is your figure for consolidated net income, it is not the one added to RE. Consolidated RE computation natin, meron tayong 3 factors now. So you have here RE beginning, 208,200, 127. Pero ang 127 na to, it is debited. I-eliminate natin yan kasi that relates to the subsidiary. So, the subsidiary's RE is eliminated at the beginning of the year pa lang. So, ito, this will not have any impact in our consolidated RE computation. Proceed tayo. Consolidated RE computation, ito po. So, to complete the Conso RE, you will have 208,200. This is actually equal to the balance of what the parent has in his books. Observe. Magkapareho. Beginning balance ng parent's RE. Tapos i-add mo ngayon ano ang profit attributable to the parent. And here is a hint that you can take 164,000 under the equity method Most of the time, if the parent uses equity method, kung walang mali si parent in computing the income from subsidiary, the parent actually reports the correct income. In the parent's income statement, I would like to point out that the parent has already reported 164, which is equal to the PAP. Okay? The parent correctly reported income, even in its own financial statement. Kapag ganyan po, ang nangyayari is the RE of the parent is actually accurate to consolidated RE. 252, 200, ang consolidated RE per our computation. And if we would look at the given, the parent actually reports RE equal to what we compute in our conso RE. 252 ang conso RE in our computation, di ba? In the parent separate books, it's already 252, 200. And that is because this is equity method. Sa equity method, tama ang computation ng RE ni parent. Pero cost method, it's not the same case. Okay? Dito tayo. Conso RE computed 252, 200. That is equal to what the parent has reported conveniently. So, let's complete this working paper by proceeding to the balance sheet now. The balance sheet is now simpler, but what you will be doing here is simply adding the parent and the subsidiary balance plus minus any working paper entry. Everything going until you arrive at share premium. Dito, hanggang dito, P plus S plus minus working paper entries. With the exception of RE. Kasi po ang RE natin, we will not be using whatever is in here and in here. Okay? Ang consolidated RE po natin is dedicated coming from the RE computation. Conso RE computation. What you will do is carry this down. 252, 200. You carry that down to here. Okay? In its rightful place in the column, in the row of RE, I mean. Yan. And NCI, that is N2, the T account that I presented earlier, 79,860 ang na-compute doon. That's your amount of NCI. And to complete everything, add total assets, add total liabilities and equities. Make sure mag-i-equal ang dalawang to, of course, as tradition dictates. As kung hindi equal yan, you know you're in trouble. Okay? So, total assets, 1,527,100. Total liabilities and SHE, 1,527,100. Okay, working papers. Recap. Okay, let's reflect So, ang daming accounts na na-compute dito individually. Pero guys, actually, when we are solving problems in business combination, you will not, in a multiple choice question problem, you will not be required to present the whole financial statement, di ba? Usually, ang nangyayari po in a multiple choice question is tatanungin ka ano ang balance ng RE, tatanungin ka ano ang balance ng cash, tatanungin ka ano ang balance ng equipment, ano ang total assets, ano ang current assets, ano ang total liabilities, and so on and so forth. And when the problem is asking for a single account, you must be skillful enough to know kung ano ang mga items na nakaka-affect sa account na yon. Okay? I will not suggest na gawin mo lahat to if you are only asked what is the balance of our receivables. Kasi this is a lot of hassle. You will only use the working paper method if you are required to prepare the financial statement itself. Or, if there are a lot of items that are required, like for example, ni-require ka ng cash, receivable, inventory, land, liabilities, RE. Pag ni-require ka ng ganyan, maraming requirements, can you compute them individually? Sure, do that if you can. Pero if you can't master that yet, I suggest you do working paper entries. And complete the balance sheet, complete the income statement. Pwede mo gawin yon if it's a long problem. Pero if it's a short problem, well, we will be having more discussions on business combination on how to compute Conso RE, how to compute NCI, how to compute Conso total assets, how to compute consolidated liabilities, and other things like that. But for now, guys, again, preparation of the consolidated financial statements, the best method to use with that is working papers. And here it is. That's all I have for you today, guys. I hope you're having a great day. See you again in our next video. This is your Sir Kevin signing off. Bye, guys.